guys, welcome back, Attack. I'm Skylar Shore, and I did pre-order the new expansion for Guild Wars 2. I will be doing footage on that. But luckily enough, this was a beta weekend. So if you did pre-order, you can actually go play right now. I suggest that you go do so and try out the Revenant. So yeah, I'm playing the Revenant, and I can honestly say he is really awesome. Completely unique of a playstyle, not just game feel either. He really just has some totally different mechanics that separate him completely from other classes, and that is freaking awesome. And I'm not saying he just gets to use different weapons, because yeah, he does get to actually use a staff as a melee weapon. I'm not just saying that. I mean, his core class mechanics are really ingenious, and you know, Guild Wars 2 is really good at that actually. All the classes really feel like characters. They feel really different, really unique. All of them are very special. But the Revenant, man, what makes him special? That's probably why you came to this video. I'm going to kind of rant at you guys while you guys watch the gameplay in the background here. So one thing that you're going to notice is that he's really slow, yeah? Like everything about him feels really weighty, where the Warrior and the Guardian, they can kind of feel weighty, but at the same time, they can also be a little bit faster paced. The Guardian more on the spellcasty side, the Warrior more on the aggressive, physical side. This class is kind of a combination of both in every aspect. Like, it is spellcasty, but it is also very melee, yeah, very physical at the same time, but everything is like so weighty, so slow. I mean, especially if you're using the hammer, but not just the hammer. Now, he does have some abilities which kind of have multiple hits within them, but for the most part, most abilities kind of have a big wind-up, and they take a long time to actually cast, and they have a long duration. So it's very interesting. Now, if I had to relate this to any archetype of any other class, I guess the Warrior would be like your normal, Knight, Warrior, Barbarian, whatever. And then you have your Guardian, which would be kind of similar to a Paladin. And then this class is really more of like a Death Knight, or I don't know, like a Shadow Blade Knight thing. I don't know, whatever. It's like that. It's that archetype. You can do a lot of abilities that kind of like put you in a lot of danger. I'm not going to say kind of berserkerish, because it's still very kind of roguish. Like, you do have a lot of invisibility, you do have a lot of really weird like attributes and effects. It's not just pure damage. You have a lot of weird trickery going on with yourself, so it's not quite berserker. It is definitely unique. It's definitely Revenant-y and kind of Death Knight-y, because you get a lot of debuffs and stuff like that. So yeah, I would definitely relate it to a Death Knight. One thing that I really like about him, though, is that weightiness. You know, it makes him feel different. It's pretty cool. You got some big-ass attacks, and they leave a big impact, and they are really interesting, and they're also very skill-based. Like the Guardian has a bubble that reflects projectiles, and then the Mesmer has a wall that reflects projectiles. I believe the Guardian also has a wall. But this character has a moving wall. It's in front of him, so wherever you're facing, that's where the shield is. So everything's very skill-shotty, and I mean, kind of in Guild Wars 2, it's a little bit like that too. But for this character, more than most, it's very, very difficult. He's a very difficult class, not just because it combos and everything. You don't have too many combos because of how the class is created. You know, he's no thief, but like, if you're going to do an attack, you need to make sure that you're going to land that attack. I feel this class is going to be really freaking clutch, but really hard to use in PvP. PvE, definitely a lot easier, but still, it really sucks when you're using your attack and you're winding up and then you have to dodge. Oh man, it's a huge cooldown, and it's just like, you know, it's really sucky. It sucks to not get off your full attack, especially if you get CC during it. So you're gonna see me die a lot because I actually kind of cancel my own abilities and stuff, and yeah, overall he's a very hard class. I totally had no concept of him whatsoever for the majority of the video, pretty much. I'm gonna have to admit that. But I like his aesthetic, I like the idea of him, but now we're gonna talk about his core mechanic that really makes him, or her, unique, okay? So unlike any other class, this guy actually rotates utility skills. Now, other classes switch weapons, or they have different kits, or they have the whole elemental thing with, like, the elementalist, how you can switch elementals with the single weapon that you have, so that you have actually, like, 20 skills at your disposal. This guy, you know, he actually switches out his utility skills, because he's channeling a Revenant. He actually channels between two, okay? So you can switch between these super fast. However, to actually counteract that speed, you actually have something kind of like a mana bar. You have to sort of channel these Revenants. So as you are attacking or as you are not attacking, you kind of gain this resource. I think it like neutrally sits at 50% or something like that. But basically, you can't use these abilities unless you have that resource. Some of the different channels kind of work a little bit differently with how the resource works. I know with the Centaur one, it's like always at 100%. But yeah, basically he's actually one of the few, or maybe like the only class that actually has like a true resource. Other classes, they have resources, but it kind of like enhances like all their different abilities. And like Necromancer or Warrior, they have a resource bar, but it's like just for a single ability. So yeah, this guy, he can't. It's really detrimental, right? Like if you get caught out, you can't really just like blink away. You can't just do everything at your disposal like a thief, right? A thief can do anything at any moment pretty freaking much, sometimes even multiple times. The Revenant is like the opposite. He is like a really fat and heavy and weighty thief. Like, he can do a lot of really interesting and crazy things, but not all at the same time and not at any moment. You have to really be calculative with this guy. There's a huge amount of risk and reward with him. And of course, that's going to translate to some of his abilities. Like, he can actually hurt himself. He can, like, really slow himself. He can put himself into danger. So that's where he's kind of, you know, berserkerish, but that's why he has heavy armor, right? He's Death Knighty. He can put himself into very dangerous situations, and he enhances the risk himself, but that also enhances the reward. So if you're a smart player, I think the Revenant is probably going to be one of the most OP classes, but right now, as a new player, the way I feel with him, I feel like I suck bad. I feel like this is a really hard class. So he can use a couple of different weapons. I've got to play with the hammer, with a mace, axe, dual swords, and he does have a staff, which he does use as a melee weapon, which is really interesting. It's actually very similar to the staff, the monk class in Skyforge, very almost identical abilities. But yeah, I can say overall, you know, the class is pretty unique. I mean, of course, you're changing out your utilities and everything, but when you are actually channeling these Revenants, your playstyle can literally entirely change. Like, the Revenant class, more than probably any other class, maybe aside from the Elementalist, really feels like you could almost potentially play an actual healer. Okay, when you channel the Centaur ability, for instance, this is ridiculous, but have you guys ever played Orianna from League of Legends? How you have to actually kite around your resource or your ball, and then you can use abilities from that? He actually has like that. He has a tablet, he summons a tablet, and then from here you have to actually kite and move around the tablet. You have to push it around the map, and then you can heal your teammates, and you kind of give AoE buffs and everything like that. Then you can switch over to the Assassin Revenant, and then you can just go like ham and cheese, and you just go and do stuff. And it also switches out your elite skill, by the way, guys. So you have multiple elite skills, multiple heal skills. Like, you get totally different freaking utility skills, and it can change how you play. So whatever two Revenants you are channeling, and you're switching back and forth. So really, he feels like a stance dancer, more so than in any other MOBA kit that I've ever seen. Of course, though, he still does have his melee weapon abilities. Those don't switch out, and he doesn't have any skill to chain those with together or whatever. What you're trying to do is kind of chain together your utility skills in between using your weapon skills. That seems to be the skill of him. So like, his weapon skills are really slow, really bulky, they're like hard to hit. So what you want to do is kind of use a utility skill to sort of secure your weapon skill ability, or use your weapon skill ability to bait out a dodge or something, and then use your utility skill to kind of come in and then cancel their dodge, or do something, I don't know, something crazy. There seems to be a lot of potential with this guy. It's really kind of hard for me to wrap my head around it, to be honest. And I'm only just playing like this PvE section right here. Definitely getting my ass kicked already in just this. But I feel like PvP, man, oh, it's gonna be so fun. Yeah, okay, so I think that's pretty much it that's unique about him. I mean, he does have a lot of interesting lore. He does get to have some interesting weapons, and he utilizes these weapons in a very unique fashion. But really, it's his core mechanics, right? The fact that you change utilities and that you can change around Revenants. I don't know if we have all the Revenants unlocked yet. I don't know if all the utilities for these Revenants are unlocked. It might be, it might not be. Also remember, it is beta, so some number changes could go up or down. You know, he could be nerfed, he could be buffed. Right now, I feel like he's underpowered, but I'm almost certain he's not underpowered, actually. I think he's just really hard to use. He's just a very high skill ceiling character. However, I will finish by saying that I don't think he's as explosive as I would have wanted him to be. Now, I think I saw in the trailers, like, there was one where he had, like, this big dragon attack, so I don't think we have that in the beta right now. I mean, I'll go back and check. I'm definitely going to be playing this and doing more videos on this. But he's not as explosive as I'd want him to be. Like, you have the Elementalist who has giant fireballs attacks and rains fire and crazy lightning explosions, and you even have the Warrior who can call down banners, and the Warrior himself has like huge, giant, explosive, arcing attacks, and a lot of other classes really do kind of feel huge and big and impactful. And this guy, he's a little bit more subtle, I guess, kind of thiefy. So he's not as explosive as I thought he would be, but some of his spell effects do look pretty interesting. I think though, that we're going to get some more Revenants that are going to be more on the explosive side. Right now, it's a little bit more subtle. We have a healing one, we have an assassin one, we have a, it's like a defensive stance, kind of. And I don't know, there's like, we don't have one that's like a giant explosive, you know, I don't know, magic thing. I'm pretty sure that's coming though. So I don't know what else we're going to be getting, but for now, I think the playstyle that I would want to play isn't there yet because he's missing a Revenant. But that's kind of just saying, you know, how impactful the Revenants are, because you literally 5 skills. So 5 huge impactful skills that we are potentially missing because we don't have a Revenant. Remember, you can switch in and out between 2 at pretty much any moment, though you do have to, you know, channel that Revenant. You know, have to stay in battle for a certain amount of time to channel it, to use abilities. So even if you switch, you might not be able to use a certain ability. Oh God, it's so difficult, man. So challenging to play with. But, you know, overall, he can't just spam his abilities, and when he does spam his abilities, they come out slow, so maybe I think a lot of people will find him, he's interesting, but I don't know if I would necessarily say super fun. You know, Thief, you can do anything at any moment, and even though he's not as explosive, you do have that instantaneousness. And then you have Elementalist, who can just do these giant attacks. You have the Warrior giant attacks. I mean, this guy is as simple and mundane looking as the Engineer. The Engineer has all these complexities behind the scenes, but then when you're actually just playing the game, it's just throw down turrets and dodge, and yeah, that's pretty much it. That might be the case for this character. We'll have to see how it works out in PvP and such. But yeah, for now, I mean, that's just like my little first impression review. Thanks for watching, guys. I'm Scott Shore with Attack Gaming. Expect more videos on Guild Wars 2, so like and subscribe to stay notified of that. And please come back, Attack. Be excited for the next video, and I'll be excited to see you there. Welcome back, Attack. Today, we're going to be talking about the top 10 free-to-play MMOs for this year, for 2015. And I think across all the genres for free-to-plays, we've seen so much innovation in MOBAs, in MMOs, in like card games. We've seen so many new things this past year, and hopefully, maybe, probably so, 2015 is going to be just as exciting. This is our